Cancer and Scorpio, two signs known for their depth, intensity, and emotional complexity, find themselves bound by fate in a way neither could have ever predicted. Emily, a compassionate and nurturing Cancer woman, had always believed in love, in its ability to heal, in its ability to protect. But after her painful divorce, her faith in those ideals shattered. She wasn't just left with an empty home and a broken heart. She had her children to raise, bills to pay, and a life to rebuild. Slowly but surely, she was starting over, carving out a new path for herself in a world that had left her feeling lost and broken. As she began to rebuild her career and adjust to her new reality as a single mother, she crossed paths with Lucas, a Scorpio widower who had suffered a loss so profound it had left him emotionally frozen. He had closed himself off from love, convinced that the heartache of his past could never be healed. Like Emily, he had once believed in a love that would last forever, until the tragic death of his wife, a death that he could never come to terms with. Their connection was instantaneous, magnetic. Both Cancer and Scorpio are deeply intuitive signs, and they immediately recognize something in each other, a shared pain, a yearning for solace that only someone who truly understood could provide. Their bond grew over late-night conversations, moments of vulnerability, and the shared quiet understanding that only someone who had endured the kind of emotional trauma they had could appreciate. Lucas opened up to Emily about his past, the deep, unspoken grief he carried. He spoke of his late wife, Rebecca, and how her passing had left him emotionally unavailable, unable to let anyone get too close for fear of feeling that searing loss again. But as the days passed, Emily found herself falling for Lucas. His quiet strength, his tenderness, his ability to understand her in ways no one else ever had. For the first time in a long while, she dared to hope that perhaps love could find her again. But just as their connection deepened, just as Emily allowed herself to trust and love again, a secret Lucas had kept buried for years came to light, one that shattered everything they had built. One evening, after a beautiful dinner where they'd shared dreams and laughter, Lucas's demeanor shifted. His eyes became clouded with guilt, and his voice trembled as he confessed something he had never told anyone. Not even Emily. He had lied to her. His wife hadn't died in a car accident, as he had told the world. She had taken her own life, heartbroken and devastated when she discovered that Lucas had been secretly in love with someone else, Emily's sister. The words hit Emily like a tidal wave. Her chest tightened, and for the first time in a long time, the walls she'd built around her heart came crashing down. The betrayal, the shock, the grief, it all rushed to the surface. Her sister, the one person she had trusted above all else, had been involved in the very betrayal that had haunted Lucas. Emily couldn't breathe. She felt a deep ache inside her chest, as though the last pieces of trust she had so carefully rebuilt had been ripped away in an instant. How could she continue with Lucas, knowing that the very woman who had once been her closest confidant had been entangled in his past? Lucas, sensing her growing anger and confusion, tried to explain, but the more he spoke, the further Emily felt herself pulling away. How could she trust him? How could she trust anyone after this revelation? Her heart screamed in pain, unable to comprehend the depth of the betrayal that had been kept from her for so long. She was torn between two conflicting emotions: the love she had for Lucas, the connection they had built, and the rage she felt toward her sister, toward the man she thought she could trust. Could she ever forgive him for keeping the secret? Could she ever trust again? Days passed in silence. Lucas gave her space, respecting her need to process the painful truth. But Emily was plagued by questions. Was their love strong enough to survive this? Was she merely blinded by her emotions? Or had Lucas truly been a man who was incapable of honesty? Was there a way back from this? Or had the past irrevocably broken everything? Lucas, consumed with guilt, reached out to Emily once more. But this time he didn't come with explanations. He came with something far more valuable: his vulnerability. He confessed that the guilt over his past was a burden he had carried alone for far too long. He had always kept his emotions hidden, thinking he could never let anyone in again, until Emily came into his life. He admitted that the love he felt for her was different, more profound, and for the first time, He wanted to make amends, not just for the past, but for his own mistakes. But even as he bared his soul to her, Emily was still left wondering, can love truly heal the scars of betrayal? She wanted to believe in the power of second chances, but the pain was so raw, so fresh, that it felt impossible to move forward. In the quiet of her home, she pondered her choices. She knew that for her to heal, she had to forgive, not just Lucas, but herself. She had to accept that the past, no matter how painful, could not define her future. The wounds of betrayal would always be there, but perhaps with time, they could fade into something that didn't hold her captive. As she reached out to Lucas, meeting him halfway in a quiet park, the weight of their shared pain hung between them. They stood there uncertain, but willing to take the next step. Slowly, Lucas took her hand. No more lies, no more secrets, only raw honesty. Could they both truly heal? Could they rebuild trust, piece by broken piece? Their journey was only just beginning, and Emily knew the road ahead would be long. But for the first time in a long time, she felt a glimmer of hope. In the end, it was Cancer's unwavering belief in love, and Scorpio's quiet determination to right the wrongs of the past that held them together. They may have been broken, but together they would fight to heal. Would you be able to forgive someone who had kept a life-altering secret from you, especially if it was tied to the very person you trusted most?